We want to close up the Washington buildings, sell the buildings off, let somebody else get rich with the real estate, because it'll be a crime-free city. By the way, speaking of that, anybody murders something in the Capitol, capital punishment, capital punishment. If somebody kills somebody in the Capitol, Washington, D.C., we're going to be seeking the death penalty. And that's a very strong preventative.
President Trump there with severe penalties for anybody who commits murder in the nation's capital. The president also considering sending the National Guard to major cities, including Chicago, New York, and Boston, after cleaning up Washington, D.C. He's accusing D.C. officials of altering crime statistics, writing on Truth Social this: D.C. gave fake crime numbers in order to create a false illusion of safety. This is a very bad and dangerous thing to do, and they are under serious investigation for so doing. A new poll shows the majority of voters call President Trump's actions, quote, justified and necessary. Many also believe this show of force will make the area safer. Joining us right now is a man who knows, former NYPD inspector, Fox News contributor, Paul Mauro. Paul, great to have you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Your
reaction to the president saying, look, death penalty, you kill, you get killed.
Well, he's well within his rights to do that. As he says, D.C. is under federal jurisdiction, and the feds have the ability to lever the death penalty where they have jurisdiction. It's not off the table federally. We saw that in the Luigi Mangione case, where there was a state indictment and there was a federal indictment, and the distinction was there were many people who wanted him to face the death penalty. So in Washington, D.C., that will apply. Other cities where Donald Trump is talking about exporting federal power to lock down some of the crime situations that we have there, he has fewer options.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me to see some of these heads of these blue cities and states say, we're not going to work with the president. Oh. You know, what did Pritzker say the other day? President Trump, do not come to Chicago.
Yeah, what leader turns down resources? I mean, it's just such a no-brainer to work with the president here, because you can get assets here that are not necessarily going to impinge on your own ability to run your state and to look like, okay, I'm dropping the ball, so I need Donald Trump to bail me out. We've talked about it on the air. Things like the National Guard deployed to sensitive areas with just their omnipresence will tamp down conditions, will create order. The best thing you have in law enforcement is to stop things before they happen. You want that professional presence. When people see the uniform, it's a basic of broken windows policing. This would be an adjunct to that. You're going to see these guys, they're out there in uniform. You're going to behave, you're going to go someplace else. And so high crime areas where you have a lot of foot traffic, it's going to work. And just to close the loop on it, it happens now as a result of counterterrorism efforts that have been going on since 9/11 around New York City, in various transportation hubs, et cetera. You see these guys out there in fatigues with the long guns. Nobody blinks. It's just because in this case, it has the patina of Donald Trump.
And that's the thing. I mean, it's unbelievable that they could actually come out with a straight face and say, we're not going to work with ICE.
It is incredible. And you think about it, Paul, from a perspective of so many of these criminals, they get caught, and hours later, they're right back out on the street to do it again. So this enforcement is essential, and it's to Maria's point, it's mind-blowing that anyone wouldn't want resources coming in to help bring crime down, which citizens are asking for. You see it in interviews after interviews.
Yeah,
but what's the next step?
So before you answer that, let me just play this sound from Pritzker yesterday. Watch this.
Go talk to the people of Chicago who are enjoying a gorgeous afternoon in this city. Ask the families buying ice cream on the Riverwalk. Find a family who's enjoying today sitting on their front porch and ask if they want their neighborhoods turned into a war zone by a wannabe dictator. Mr. President, do not come to Chicago. There is not an emergency in the city of Chicago. There is nothing that calls for having troops on the streets of the city of Chicago. We have crime like other cities do. Chicago is in much better shape as a result of the work that we are doing to prevent crime, to interrupt crime, to reduce crime. That we do not want troops on the ground in the city of Chicago.
So, I mean, no emergency, Paul?
Look, in Chicago, it's a prime example. People voting with their feet, right? And this is right in your bailiwick. Look at the main businesses that have decamped from Chicago because of conditions there. You got Citadel, Boeing, There's talk now that one of the airlines is going to decamp from Chicago. Thousands and thousands of jobs are leaving because of the conditions on the ground. They can play with the numbers all they want. You can say, yeah, the crime is down, but compared to this year, it's not, et cetera. The real metric is, do people feel safe and do they want to be there? And very clearly they don't. And a performative stunt like walking around on the waterfront at 5:36 in the morning with a security detail, that doesn't really compel anybody. And remember something, Pritzker is vulnerable on this and he knows it. He wants to be president, but he took the wrong lessons from New York City's Criminal Reform Act, all of the stuff that they did in the criminal justice reforms, and he institutionalized it in his state as the Safety Act. He was the first state to do that statewide. So this is an issue he's going to have to diffuse.
Well, I've got the executive order here on cashless bail, and I want to get your take on that, Paul. The president, of course, stepping up his authority on crime. He signed 2 executive orders targeting cashless bail in D.C. and across the country. Federal funding will be revoked from any jurisdiction who is still allowing cashless bail. The president also signing an order banning the burning of the American flag in settings where it incites a riot or other violence, promising a penalty of 1 year in jail. Cashless bail is something that we're talking about a lot now because of the New York City mayoral race.
Right. So this is one of the criminal justice reforms I was just talking about. In the wake of the 2020 Summer of Love, and even before under the Bill de Blasio administration, they got, that is the left in this town, got the entire wish list of the defense bar. And that's why this stuff is so inimical to the conditions in our cities, because they institutionalized it this time. They got a majority, a supermajority in the legislation, in Albany, in the legislature, so they put in no bail, raise the age, the discovery stuff, clean slate, all of these acts that went through to make things harder for New York law enforcement to do their jobs. And the real fly in the ointment is the following. You don't hear about this. The way they really concretized it is they cut down the number of beds in Rikers.
Unbelievable.
Rikers Island now is going to have about half the numbers of beds when they close Rikers and they put the jails in the boroughs. Whether we like it or not, even if we want to arrest more people, we're going to have to go down and arrest. There's no place to put them.
Such a great point.
So they got us.
But was that Andrew Cuomo?
No, that was really the city. That was Bill de Blasio and the New York City Council who came up with that genius plan.
Shutting down Rikers Island. For what reason?
There's no, it's there for a reason. You don't want to really know why underneath why? The main thing that would make sense here would be to put the courts, the judges, and all the lawyers, the defense lawyers, on Rikers, so that we don't have to do this. But they don't want to go to Rikers. There's not a lot of good restaurants out there.
Wow. Paul, great to have you this morning. Thanks so much. Paul Mauro. We'll be right back. Stay with us.